Well, good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is George Prout. I am Chief Marketing Officer at GEMS One. And in general terms, I guess I'm the architect of a lot of the things that we do on the marketing side. Along with me on the panel today is my friend as well as our customer, Bob Mullen. Good morning, Bob.
Morning, George.
Bob has a particular skill set in the digital realm. He is one of the only retailers I know who's been able to drive the portion of the business that the family store does to over 20% online. This is a highly specialized skill. It's also it's almost like a hobby for him. I think if you didn't have to do this as a job, I think you'd do it as a hobby. I kind of feel that way about what I do too. So
yeah, right, exactly.
It's fun to have people like that. Oh, you know what? Oops. I just realized I'm at the bottom. There we go. That's the slide you were supposed to be looking at, guys. Sorry about that. So anyway, I just got back from Maine last night. I had a great experience. I flew up and met with the team at Days to put together their custom 16-page flyer as well as their 32-page digest. And it was the first opportunity I had to explore with retailers, not just the new look of our programs this fall, but also the merchandise assortment. And boy, we got really good marks on both. And I was working with 3 professional buyers, each of the specific area of authority and knowledge. And for them to react as favorably as they did it was kind of like I've spent the last 6 weeks making dinner and the diners liked it. So it was a good thing. So today we're going to talk through the things that we've been working on at GEMS One really since mid-March. And in terms of product assortment since about this time last year. I mean, literally last July, I started working on what we were going to be launching for what I thought was going to be the Vegas show, in 2020. Obviously, the pandemic decided differently. Our timetables have changed. What usually is a 17-week sprint for my sales team, and now all has to happen in about 10 weeks. And so doing this webinar and doing the next 3 over the next 2 days, I'm hoping will help accelerate the process for you if you're trying to decide what elements you want to use that GEMS One's producing. This webinar may help you. Let me also mention there was a certain degree of apprehension in the room as we spoke about what the pandemic might potentially do to the Christmas season. I can tell you that like most of you, Days set a record sales in June. Engagement rings are off the charts. We expected this to happen, not only because of pent-up demand, because those people who might have bought in March, April, and May couldn't, but also because weird events like 9/11 or like this pandemic caused people to reevaluate what's important in their life. And one of the things that I've been predicting in these webinars was that we were going to see a huge uptick in bridal. That's exactly what's occurring. But the question is, what's it going to be like when we get to November, December? I would encourage you to remember that while jewelry is a product category that all of us can live without, it is also pretty much the only product category that communicates affection. So in everything that you do as we approach the fall season, remember that, focus on that, focus on the emotional side of things. Yes, you're going to have the right products at the right price. You're going to have delivery vehicles for your messages that hit home. But the bottom line is just remember, we are in a business that sells emotion, and it gives us an advantage over all the other retail verticals. I also, in starting, I'd just like to go through a couple of key thoughts. It occurred to me as I was thinking about preparing these slides, this will be my 46th Christmas in the jewelry business. I am appalled when I think of how many years that means I've been doing this. I don't even remember what Christmas is like as a consumer. I only know what Christmas is like as a jewelry supplier. But I can tell you that over those 46 years, there have been a variety of challenges. There have been none quite like the pandemic. I think everybody agrees this is totally uncharted territory. But I do think that every challenge that I've seen over the course of the last 4.5 decades has also represented an opportunity. And properly met, the opportunities of fall 2020 can produce a significant expansion in market share, both at your level as well as at ours. So I strongly encourage you, resist the temptation to turn into a turtle. There are a lot of retailers and there are some suppliers who are now going into defense mode. And they're just hoping to weather the storm, get through this. Hopefully there'll be a vaccine. We'll be back to normal again, or whatever the heck that means. That's the wrong play. The proper actions taken now can materially alter the future in your favor in a way that only occurs during times of crisis. I can remember way back in a graduate school course writing a paper that dealt with the percentage of companies in multiple industries that either started during a crisis or had massive growth during a crisis. It's actually tougher to change market share when everything's hunky-dory than it is when things are weird. Now is the time for you to strike. Now is the time for you to do things that over the next decade may resonate in a way that means more sales, more profit, more investment, just more success. So with these things in mind, here's what we think is challenge number one. It is a fact that last year, 12% of all consumer jewelry purchase dollars occurred in online shopping carts. This information comes from MasterCard. I suspect that if it was American Express, there might be a slight shift because American Express may slightly represent the American consumer base in a different way. But I think MasterCard's a real good example. If they're saying 12%, it's probably 12%. So if you're not doing 12% of your sales online, you're missing market share. It's an opportunity. There's no question about it. Now, we also know from the MasterCard data, 93% of all online jewelry sales are for items retailing at $99 and less. So as you think about chasing this 12%, I would also encourage you to realize there's no way that you should be deploying your scarce resources to chase what my friend Bob calls these ankle biter sales. I love that phrase. You know, in the Christmas flyers, we do chase $99 sales because we know there's a link between the young man purchasing the $99 gift and a subsequent purchase of an engagement ring during the next 12 months. But in these online sales, there's no guarantee of any linkage towards a future purchase, other than that if they like what they get and they like the experience, they may come back and buy something again. But the bottom line is, I mean, I know, many of you know I'm married to a jeweler. I know how she has no time for anything. I mean, and when I'm visiting you guys in your stores, you are so overwhelmed. And many of you have even brought back a smaller staff than you had before the pandemic started. So there is no way that you should be taking your existing staff and your existing resources and chasing these lower price point sales, even though in aggregate, it's a lot of business. Let me also remind you that just as we saw in March, I mean, I got back from India doing product development on March 10th. On March the 16th, the governor of Pennsylvania closed Pennsylvania, which meant that my wife's store closed, and it stayed closed for 2 months. And I know if you live in New York or Connecticut, or actually right now in Texas or in Michigan, you know, this event may produce a replay once the virus has spun around the southern half of the globe and comes back up the way the flu does. I'm not talking about the resurgence we're seeing right now. I'm talking about a real chance that we could see a resurgence in November and December at exactly the time when we need sales the most. So in view of these two sets of things, the fact that there's a great opportunity for sales, as well as the fact that you need some kind of a defensive strategy in case your governor shuts you down, we think that every store needs a set of strategies for selling with your brick and mortar doors closed. And that being the case, we have launched a strategy that we think is going to be quite effective called Go Express. Unlike your current website, Go Express is specifically designed to actually sell jewelry. I know that the vast majority of you have a shopping cart on your website, but I also know in talking with you that over and over again, you're not selling much stuff. I mean, you're selling things in your store that people saw on your website and came in to buy, but you're not really making the sale online. Your website is designed to showcase jewelry. It's not really designed to sell it. And Bob and I can get into a little bit of what we think are the best practices and recognize Bob is actually now overseeing the whole Go Express program. Go Express is not a replacement of your current website. Go Express is a proven sales platform based on the paradigm shift of Ashley Express in the furniture vertical. Let me just take a quick second to explain what this means. About 5 years ago, Ashley Furniture, which supplies thousands of independent furniture retailers in the same way that Gems One supplies you, Ashley took a look at the online business that their customers were doing and found that they were doing less than 0.5% of their business online. So they reached out to an entity called Imagine Retailer, the same people that I'm working with, the same people who have built Go Express, to build Ashley Express. And the core concept was that I, as a consumer, could go online, go onto the independent furniture store's website, click on a button for Furniture Express or Ashley Express, and be able to order any item there and have it shipped directly to my home within 24 hours. The result was, fast forward to 2019, the independent furniture store's business online went from less than 0.5% to over 20%. And in the month of April, it's my understanding that those same stores did over 45% of their total business online, because in many cases, their stores were closed. So we have every reason to believe that, given that experience and the fact that, hey, nobody buys furniture online, right? I mean, that was the assumption 5 years ago. Well, nobody buys jewelry online, right? No, it's not the case. So anyway, we have a model that suggests that this works properly. So as is the case with the Ashley Express program, this is an enhancement of your current website. It allows your website to do a new thing. Go Express allows your customer to buy from you and have the item delivered directly to their home. Each item is shipped with a letter from you thanking them for their purchase in a Go Express white leatherette box. What's great is Go Express actually becomes a brand that you own in your local market. So we think that instead of trying to warehouse 200 or 300 different stores' boxes, by using Go Express, by using the thank you letter, we tie Go Express into your company in an appropriate branding strategy. But we also will allow ourselves to achieve scale and not screw things up by putting a Smith Jewelers gift into a Jones Jewelers box. And each box goes with a FedEx return label for hassle-free returns. Also, and this is turning into a really important thing, we now have 22 stores up. And what we're seeing is that by having us handle the chat function so that your staff doesn't need to, we're in a position to answer any question they have about any product they see on the Go Express website, because we're the ones who know about this. Otherwise, the chat would be going to a staffer in your store who can't necessarily answer the question, hey, does this particular bracelet come in at 8.5? They would have to call the office, figure it out, then call the customer back. Now, we will hand the chat off to you full-time if you want that, but alternatively, if there are any questions that relate to your specific store, we'll actually interact with you and make sure that the consumer ends up making a purchase. Literally yesterday, Linda, who was manning the chat function at the time, was having a discussion with a consumer who wanted to buy a Pandora necklace. Linda was able to actually get a hold of the owner of the store. The consumer was less than 20 minutes away. They ended up making the sale. It had nothing to do with what was on Go Express, but because of the chat function, the handoff occurred and the consumer bought. And while your doors may be forced to close by government fiat, the doors at Go Express are permanently open 24/7, 365. Now, Bob, I'd like to hand this off to you for a second to talk a little bit about what you see happening with Go Express over the course of the next 6 months as we evolve it into what we hope will be a powerful selling tool for our customers.
Yeah, the way that we have worked on developing Go Express is by taking a lot of the best practices that were used in the furniture vertical and moving them over to jewelry. And in working with the owner of Imagine and working with George, it's incredible the amount of parallels there are between the furniture industry and the jewelry industry. They're incredibly similar. And frankly, the furniture industry is probably about 5 years ahead of us where we are in terms of where most of our stores are at. Because so many of the same kind of things we heard from objections in furniture also work in jewelry, like who's going to buy furniture without trying it on first or without seeing it? Well, they've proven that that'll happen. Furniture often has a longer lead time in general. So how do you handle those inventory issues? And with 24-hour shipping, we don't have to worry about that anymore because everything's guaranteed in stock and everything's fulfilled. Having worked with a lot of stores in terms of how they're going to start selling online and trying to help them get going with selling online, we found the same types of questions and the same types of objections kept happening over and over and over again. You know, I would always get asked, like, well, how do I handle stock? Like, what happens if I sell a piece in my physical store and it doesn't sync up with my online inventory? How do we handle that? By using Go Express, it's guaranteed to be in stock. So it cuts that issue right out of it. You know, questions like, well, do I have to hire staff to do programming? Do I have to hire staff to do shipping? Do I have to hire staff to do live chat? Who's going to handle all of this stuff for me? These are all things we took into consideration with Go Express as well. And as this thing starts to grow out more and more, I really envision this as a place where your main website, which, you know, we 100% want you to keep, you know, your regular abcjewelers.com, that should be your flagship website. That should be the place where people go to interact with you, to find out about your custom design, to find out about your engagement ring styles, to find out what's happening with your store, learn more about you. But these challenges that exist in the shopping cart of abcjewelers.com, they don't go away. And until you reach a certain amount of size, it's very difficult to staff for it, and it's very difficult to kind of plan for those changes. You wind up having to hire somebody on the hope that the sales will come along to justify their own expense. What we're doing here is making a shop.abcjewelers.com. That's what Go Express becomes, a shop dot or a subdomain of your website that is just designed to sell jewelry. So a lot of the situations where, like, there's a lot of best practices that jewelers frankly don't want on their website. A lot of jewelers don't want pop-ups. They don't want coupon codes. They don't want to do some of the techniques that sometimes they feel are not right for their brand. But if you do it in a subdomain like this, you're able to take more of these chances and do more of these best practices and have them feel different because the customer has chosen to go to a portion of your website where they're looking to buy. So that intent is there to purchase. So therefore, as a store, we have permission to sell to them a little bit harder. We have permission to offer them extra deals. And not only that, the customer is looking for it. So we're going to continue to expand, and because we're working at scale, we've already got 22 stores, I think, live, and we're on the path to getting a lot more. We should double that pretty quick. We're going to be able to add in more products. We're going to be able to get in more 360 videos, more angles and images, more little specialized collection pages that'll match up with the flyer programs that you're already doing. Ultimately, we're going to be expanding out, I think, into other vendors and other ways to really kind of round this out and make this a full-fledged, you know, shopping experience.
Yeah, I think if I could just interject, Bob.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a look and see. In fact, we purchased a $13,000 camera system so we can do videos of every single item in the portfolio. I will, while you're talking, I'm going to see if I can locate one of those videos because I think it might be kind of fun to show folks. Every single piece by the end of August will have a video. In fact, we expect by the end of September to have every single piece in Gems One's line videoed. So not only will we have the static images, we'll have these gorgeous videos shot. I would also say, you know, if I was to visit LL Bean or Land's End or Vineyard Vines to buy a polo shirt, the first thing I'm going to see is a coupon for 10, 15, 20% off. When you go to the Go Express site, you see a coupon. When I order something, I know there's a totally hassle-free return policy. In fact, in the case of the Go Express, when we ship a box, it goes with a FedEx return label inside the box. You know, we're doing the stuff that internet retailers need to do in order to sell. So it's critical to adopt those best practices, we think.
Well, you know, and the thing about that too, George, is that Gems One has committed to never selling to the customer, always going to be B2B. But the vast majority of our vendor partners in our jewelry stores are not the same thing. So it's like, if you want proof that these coupons exist, go to your vendors' websites. Check out Pandora, check out Alex and Ani. God forbid, check out Citizen Watch or Movado. I mean, really, take a walk, go to Gabriel, go through all the vendors, Lashbrook, go through the vendors in your store and look at all the coupons that your vendors are offering to your customers, right? It's becoming incredibly competitive. And, you know, the way that I look at it is that if you've got a vendor that's providing marketing support at a high level to where they've really spent some money on that, they're going to want to return. And within the next couple of years, if they're not selling online direct to the customer, they're going to be pretty soon. And we need to be very much prepared for that, that there's going to be a world of generic products that we have to market but don't compete against us. And there's going to be the other side of vendors that provide this marketing support and do all this work for you, but they're going to be your competitors. And that's just the way, and that's just the way it is.
The other thing that's important to mention is the shopping cart on the Go Express website is not Gem's one shopping cart, it's your shopping cart.
Yeah.
You guys control the sale. You guys control the money. Our job is to make sure that the product is in stock, that it's represented properly so the consumer is both excited about buying it, but also when they get it, it hasn't been overrepresented. And
Yes.
that we're adopting all the best practices that are appropriate for internet sales, but might not be appropriate for brick and mortar selling.
Exactly. Like, and I know a lot of the stores, I know a lot of our stores are familiar, like with Gabriel and Company. Like I'm a Gabriel and Company account, and so I know how their shop and shops work, and they're iframes. So you go to your, you're at abcjewelers.com and you click on the Gabriel section, and it's going to open up an iframe, basically their website inside of your own website, in which you can kind of transact through it, but it's 100% branded as this other company. The nice thing about Go Express is that it's a subdomain of your own site. So instead of abcjewelers.com, it's shop.abcjewelers.com. And it is 100% your shopping cart. The money goes to you. It's not affiliated with Gems One at all, except for the fulfillment. And that's a really big difference in terms of how people find you through search and all kinds of search engine optimization, and a lot of the back end stuff that you don't have to deal with having to have this other website inside of your own website. It really is your own site, 100%.
So let's move forward. We're certainly, one of the reasons we're doing the 4 webinars is I wanted to make sure that we could handle the questions as they came. So Bob, have you put a little chat out so that everybody knows how to come back to you with a question?
Yeah, I did. I did put a little question up in the chat just for people who'd love your questions. So please, there's a Q&A function on the bottom and a chat function. Usually these things generate a whole lot of questions, so we're happy to hear them. We're happy to talk about whatever it is you guys want to talk about here in terms of finding more information about it. And I'll be monitoring these, so feel free to ask, and we'll get to all of them as we go through.
The one other potential missing element to the strategy is what happens this December if your state shuts down and Governor Cuomo shuts down Manhattan. In anticipation of this, we've built a contingency plan to move our entire operation to the Dayton, Ohio office. So we should be able to continue to ship directly to your customer, even if New York shuts down. Plus, I would also say if you think about the role that our flyers have played in your stores, nobody in the jewelry business understands the $500 and down market like us. If you look consistently at the Edge Retail Academy data, every year for Christmas, we have somewhere between 9 and 13 of the top 15 selling SKUs. So you can count on the fact that not only do you have 200,000 pieces of jewelry on your website, a lot of those 200,000 are the right pieces of jewelry, and we understand how they need to be priced. 200,000 items ready to deliver, a built-in consumer lending platform. If you choose to use it, Great American Financial actually does all of the financing on the Ashley Furniture websites. So we've got them incorporated so that you can use them as well. And what's great is, unlike Wells or Synchrony, who are now requiring about a 730 FICO score, Great American will go all the way down to a 600 FICO score. So they'll embrace a lot of the consumers who might be wanting to buy something from your website. Here's the fun part. The cost is $200 a month. That's it. All we have to do to justify this website or this bolt-on onto your website is to produce $200 in net profit per month for you. And Bob and I think we can do that pretty easily. There's no long-term contract. There's no long-term commitment. I mean, you can literally, if you put this up and you run it for 4 months and it's not working for you, you can just turn it off. There's no issue there. And there was no upfront cost. So the only investment loss is this monthly commitment to really see and find out that it works. And I would also think about it. I know in the case of my wife's store, it's an insurance policy to make sure that in December, if Governor Wolf shuts us down in Pennsylvania, she can still be in business. Mm-hmm. We hope you agree it's a no-brainer. Hey, I saw a question flash up. In fact, several, Bob. What are we getting?
Yeah. What's the pricing structure like on this? Retail markups? How's that work?
So we have moved GEMS 1 to a 2.5 markup structure across the board. And we do know that when the consumer walks into your store, yeah, I know Bob as a retailer likes that. My wife likes that too. You know, when the customer's already in your store, at 2.5, our stuff sells great. I would also say that in order to draw people into the store with a catalog, you know, we're going to continue with our general keystone markup structure strategy, because there we're trying to motivate somebody to drive to the store. I would also say that, you know, in a brick and mortar environment, your closest competitor may be 5 miles away, but in the internet environment, your closest competitor is a click away. So the initial pricing at the 2.5, which now will correspond with any catalog that we produce, it corresponds with the basics book, it corresponds with the milestones book. That'll be at 2.5, but when the consumer goes onto the Go Express website, they're immediately going to see a 20% off coupon. That 20% off coupon both will incent a purchase, but will also bring the product in line with where we think the internet retail needs to be. Other stuff, Bob?
Let's see here. So about the chat, can a jeweler see the chat in real time, or only when it's turned over from GEMS 1 is the question. So I want to let's clarify this a little bit, how that works.
Sure. So when a chat occurs, there is a chat log, and that can be sent to the jeweler. But the chat, we're using something called Talk, TAWK, and that chat is either with GEMS 1 folks or with your store folks. It's up to you. You know, if you want to be the one controlling the chat, that's fine. I just thought initially, now you've got to dedicate multiple people to manning the chat. They're then going to have to answer questions about GEMS 1 jewelry that they don't know. So again, if there is any question that has to do with store policies, or what does the store carry, or anything that would be unique knowledge that your store personnel would have and that our personnel would not, we're going to immediately engage you and get you in touch with the customer.
Yeah, and I would just say on that too, because this sometimes causes confusion with people. Your own website, if you have a live chat, say you're using Podium or ClientBook or something, or Checkit, you have your own live chat. Once people go into Go Express and click into your subdomain, your live chat goes away. So you don't have to worry about duplicate chats or anything like that. So it does have, it's on your brand, but it's got a little bit of a different look and feel to it. So we're finding people are not asking as many questions, such as what are your store hours and things like that. They're more product-based questions, which we're pretty able to answer. And when customized things come up, you know, we've talked with Linda extensively, who's doing the chat. Her job is to turn that into a lead to you. And so when we say turn over the chat, what we really mean is Linda's going to reach out to you and say, hey, customer XYZ has a question about this. You should really follow up with them. Here's their phone number. Here's their email address. And then you're able to work with them and transact on that way. Because generally the question they're asking is something that's outside of the scope of Go Express.
Yes.
So it makes sense to just turn it into a lead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's roll on. And if at some point towards the end we've got more Go Express questions, we will be happy to take a look at those.
Mm-hmm.
Challenge number 2 arises from the fact that we know since the inception of the pandemic that both Wells Fargo and Synchrony, who are the primary lenders for the vast majority of you, have substantially increased their approval requirements. We know that their minimum FICO score requirement has moved from, it used to be historically about 680, now it's about 735. And recognize that this happened at the same time that the average FICO score of American consumers has dropped by about 80 points as a result of all the financial dislocation associated with the pandemic. So without a way of plugging the FICO score hole, your sales are going to suffer. The strategy is this Great American Financial, a second-tier lender, a company that specializes in taking the people who Wells and Synchrony turned down. To understand where this fits, I built this bell curve to show you what you reasonably can expect. We know now that either Synchrony or Wells is going to take the consumer who's got between a 735 and an 850 FICO score, right? Where Great American fits is this 600 to 734 range. We believe that, or we've been given data that suggests that somewhere between 35 and 50% of the consumers who get turned down by Wells and Synchrony in your store are probably going to get approved by Great American. There is still this mass of consumers who are 600 or $599 and down who won't. And if you want to address those, you're probably going to need a lease purchase lender who has a different model that will allow them to take much riskier customers. I can tell you that one of the reasons that I selected Great American was not only they're good at what they do, but I can also pair them with a lease purchase lender. You can expect us by the end of September to actually have a partial waterfall, so that if Great American says no, we're going to have a tertiary level lender who will say yes. So ultimately, I'd like to address almost every person on this bell curve. For now, this incredibly important 600 to 734 range can be addressed by you with Great American. I can tell you that we've got Great American set up in Jody's store, I think on Monday, July the 6th, and she's already made 4 engagement ring sales to people who were turned down by either Wells or Synchrony or both. She has both in her store.
Yeah, I'll say, George, that this idea of a waterfall was a total game changer for me. I think you brought this idea to me 7 or 8 years ago, yeah, when we were doing the kiosks in the store at the time. Now, thank God it's digital. We don't have to do as much with the kiosks. But I will say that, because we were doing Wells at that time, and I remember, God, it was like 6 or 7 years ago when GE Capital was having a hard time, and they just flat shut down come Christmas, and approvals just completely dried up. And people were going crazy at the time. And I think that, you mentioned it earlier, there's real potential here because these banks are concerned. And if things start going the wrong direction again, not only are you going to see the potential of areas being shut down, of commerce being shut down, but you're going to see credit tightening too as a response as well. And I think this is critically important for the people that want to come and shop, that we have these opportunities. This was a game changer for us, being able to reach out to that middle tier of credit consumer.
For sure. And what's handy is you've got Great American in the store funding those bridal purchases. They will also fund online purchases, not just for Go Express. You can put them online on your regular website if you choose to do that as well.
Big deal.
They offer credit limits up to $7,500. They also have a text to apply program. So as you might imagine, if you do any catalog with us, we're going to be putting the text number to apply in the catalog if you've got Great American as well, so people can apply from the comfort of their homes before they even come into the store. Also, the minimum payment in their programs is 5% of the purchase. So in any print vehicle or any digital vehicle that has prices, we now will have the ability to put in, if you're a Great American customer, payments as low as flyers, catalogs, interactive digital catalogs, you name it. We want to use this as a way of changing the consumer's perception of the cost of a thing. It's one thing to say it's $1,000. It's another thing to say it's $50 a month. Same price, but now suddenly it's a lot more affordable. And for Christmas, we will be launching a program in the month of December where the consumer will have no payments for 2 months. So if you buy in December, your first payment will take place in March, which is a kind of a cool promotion, I think. Yeah. The discount rate is as low as 2.99%. That's for 90 days, same as cash. That's Bob. What are you paying for MasterCard and Visa? Someplace just a little south of that, right?
In the mid twos. That's pretty. Below that, you start to get into their bottom rate. The interchange rate below that, you start getting into that. So
yeah, exactly. So without any significant cost, you can offer a 90-day same as cash plan to the consumer. And frankly, they probably know their credit's not very good. If they're applying and they know they get turned down by Wells and Synchrony, they may even know. My experience in stores is that consumers are far more sensitive and knowledgeable about their own FICO scores.
Yeah, my favorite little thing about financing at Christmas time is that you get, I'm sure other stores get this too, the guys that'll come in, but they won't want to buy because the wife sees the credit card statement or the wife sees the debit card. Oh, and I can't do it. I'll come back on Christmas Eve with cash. And then, you got your fingers crossed hoping they actually come in. We found that by offering a 90-day same as cash, it's on a different application that's not related to the wife at all in that situation. They come in the middle of December, the statement's not coming until January. You can close that sale today and often upsell it because you got 90 days same as cash too. That's a great way to get over that objection of the guy that doesn't want to come in because the wife or girlfriend shares the banking online.
How handy that is. Okay, so again, no upfront charges. you know, I think Great American's a no-brainer. Challenge number 3. The fact is that bridal sales are even more important now than ever before. In fact, even though the government has artificially inflated things to create a better economy by pumping trillions of dollars into the marketplace, and the Fed has actually been in there buying stocks to prop up the stock market. As we move through into November and December, the reality is that bridal may be the only reliable big ticket revenue stream. So naturally, any tactical advertising advantage in bridal represents a game changer for you guys. The strategy that we've been employing now with customers for over 2 months is Gem Stealth Predatory Marketing. I know that some of you may have seen this in a webinar. I'm going to move through this fairly rapidly, but I want those of you who have not seen it to get a very good sense of what we're talking about. Now that we've got data, we know that this thing is working. The basic idea comes from the notion of retargeting or remarketing. We know that if Brilliant Earth will pay a lot of money for a click to get you to visit their website. And the benefit to Brilliant Earth of that visit is not just that you can see what they sell. It also means that from then on, any other website that you visit, they can serve you an ad. Imagine if we could use Brilliant Earth's initial investment to get that consumer against them. Imagine if you could use their advertising to your advantage so that after I visit Brilliant Earth, when I go to Yahoo for news, I get your ad. That's the beauty of predatory. Predatory allows us to identify either the IP address or the mobile phone user ID number of the machine that went to any of your competitors' websites. And within 60 minutes, we can start serving them ads when they go elsewhere online. It is an unbelievably beautiful thing. In order for you to do this, step 1 is to pick your targets and define your geography. We've made a list of 35 targets: Blue Nile, Rare Carrot, Brilliant Earth, De Beers, Veragio, K.com, Jared.com, you name it. And by the way, we can not only identify based on domains, we can also go to subdomain level. So if you want to get really granular and exclude, let's say, for example, people who visit the K's website. Let's say you only want the engagement ring customers, not the person who goes there looking for, say, a cross. If that's the case, we can actually target the subdomain for engagement rings. We've even had cases now where we've had jewelers target the virtual appointments of their local independent competitors. It's really, I am so happy to be part of this ecosystem with you guys, where you're actually teaching us stuff to do. So you list your targets. You then also tell us the geography where you want to identify this consumer. That can be done by a radius around a store, or it can be done by specific zip codes. We then capture the IP address or mobile phone of any shopper who visits those targets, and we start serving them ads. You'll notice here are several different offers: 5-year interest-free financing, 50% off specific rings. There also is an offer here that I'll bring to your attention that the government has kept everybody flush with cash. So you haven't seen a lot of gold buying. Once that period ends, I think you're going to see consumers who under hardship will want to sell their gold, because for a lot of people, that's their only store of value. So not only can you target your competitors, you can also target the state unemployment office. So in your state, when someone applies for unemployment, they then have to re-up every week. So we can capture these folks and serve them with ads that say that you buy gold. We think that's probably a pretty strong idea as well. Then step 4 is to rinse and repeat. What we're seeing is it looks like the ideal number of ads to a specific customer is about 30 times. Sometimes you'll catch them right away. Also, we don't know where they are in the purchase journey when we first identify them. I think it's reasonable to say that the purchasing journey for an engagement ring is somewhere between 30 and 120 days. So we don't know where they are or how serious they are, but we do know that once we find them, we can continue to advertise to them until we get them into your store. Then finally, we create your landing page where consumers go when they click on the ad, so they can get more information about whatever your offer is. So let's say that if you're offering a discount on engagement rings, they go to the engagement rings section. If you're offering 5-year interest free, they go to the financing section. There is no setup cost. You can target as many subdomains as you want. I think we've got one customer not far from Minneapolis who has about 200 subdomains that he's chosen to target. He got very, very granular. He wanted to make sure he wasn't wasting any money. He was only talking to engagement ring customers. The only cost is 3.5 cents per ad served. If you do the math in your market, you will probably discover that we can hit every engagement ring customer for less than $1,000 a month. So my hope is not only is this a better way of advertising to sell more bridal, it also, frankly, may result in you reducing your overall advertising spend.
Yeah.
So we think it's a no-brainer. I can tell you that I've got Jody started now, my wife's store, doing this. We've actually now had several cases where we've got customers who wanted to target other customers, even though they were far away, and we're not allowing that. I should also mention that we have an exclusive with the company for this in the jewelry vertical. So if your competitor learns about this and wants to do it, I can shut them down. So, and I think that's quite valuable. Some of you are in markets, well, like you, Bob. I mean, you know, you've got 3 or 4 pretty big competitors right outside. And we would definitely not want them, watching who's visiting your website.
Yeah, especially because I'm going after them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think that you went by it a little quick, but I think it's really important to remember that the advertising budget that these online sellers are putting out is substantial. If you've ever done pay-per-click advertising, I mean, you know, we're talking $3 to $8 a click on something like diamond engagement rings. However, we also know that the closing ratio is about 3% on those. So somebody goes and searches for diamond engagement rings on Google, they're going to find Blue Nile, Brilliant Earth, Kay, everybody right up at the top paying the money for that. However, of those people that click, 97% and that's a conservative number, are going to be walking away from that site or moving away from that site without having made a transaction. Now with Predatory, we're able to start serving them ads immediately. So you don't have to get into the $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 per click game by doing this. You're able to do the 3.5 cents per serve, the $35 CPMs, to then try to go after those folks after they've left the K site or after they've left the Brilliant Earth site. And that's a big difference in terms of the amount of money that you have to pay, because to play in that game, you have to have a well-optimized website and you have to really be ready to put some cash down to try to play in that direct sales pay-per-click game. This is a way of bypassing that first most expensive step and getting right into the retargeting that we know is so important.
Yeah, in the animal kingdom, there is an analogous circumstance. In any pride of lions, it's the lionesses who actually chase down the wildebeest. Okay, they're the ones doing all the work. Once the animal is dead, the males then come in to feed. So in a very real sense, this is exactly what we're doing now. We're letting Blue Nile and James Allen and Brilliant Earth do all the work identifying these consumers who are in the bridal market. And then we're coming in to actually dine on the kill at 3.5 cents a piece. What a beautiful thing that is.
Yeah, quick question on here. With Predatory, can Brilliant Earth knock off your ad? So I think what she's trying to say here is, could they then, I guess, kind of respond to us with their own version of Predatory? I'm trying to understand. And I don't.
They have no way of knowing that you've done this. The beauty of this is we're identifying at domain and subdomain level based on the browser that you're using. So Brilliant Earth, James Allen, Blue Nile, or let's say your local competitor who's 5 doors down. They have no way of knowing that you've targeted their domain and subdomain areas. So it's pretty slick. If the CIA was going to sell diamonds, I think this is the way they'd be doing it.
There you go. And I'll tell you too, from an online retail perspective, Brilliant Earth does not give a rip what we're doing. They don't care. All they're trying to figure out is the ROI of, if they spend, you know, if it costs them $48 to get a customer and they get $51 worth of profit from that customer, they're going to spend as much money as they can to rinse, lather, and repeat. And they're just not really worried about what we're doing on a local level. All they're worried about is, are they getting an ROI on their ad dollars? That's all they care about.
I'll also mention to you, when I first learned about this, I was so concerned that it was illegal that I actually went to the legal team for Dyaruff in Antwerp, as well as a team of experts in Mumbai, because I didn't want to touch this unless I could confirm that it's okay. I can tell you we have very firm footing in doing this both in America as well as Canada, but it is possible that it would not be legal in the EU. So we won't be doing any of this in Europe, but we do think it's totally legal here, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Well, for the time being, which is why we got to get going on this thing, because it's not going to be around forever.
Well,
and then Ronnie asked too, how long does it take to get this thing set up?
It seems to take about 3 days. The limiting factor is getting the darn landing page built. It's we got to make the landing page and then have your webmaster actually put it on your website. So that's really what takes the most time. Once you fill out the forms, you know, we can have everything set up on our end except for the landing page within 48 hours.
Yeah,
just got to get the landing page done.
Yeah, and I know Go Express, we didn't touch on it, but Go Express is about a week, and it's guaranteed within 30 days to be up and running with the Go Express site. And most of them are up within a week or two, we're finding.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the only thing that slows them down is the retailers aren't responding to the questions.
Yeah.
If you're focused on getting them the information they need to set it up, they can have it up in a few days. This is not terribly time consuming, and they have the staff to be able to do it.
All right, we got to roll. No, not right now. We got to roll anyway. So next.
All right, yeah, we got to roll. So challenge number 4. We know that October jewelry sales will collapse as the presidential election absorbs the complete attention of every consumer. We've seen this the last 3 or 4 presidential election cycles. And it seems to me that the more antipathy the two opponents have towards each other, the more we focus on the election and we just don't spend money on stuff. And I can't even imagine what it's going to be like when Biden and Trump start going at it in 35 days from now. So expect October to be pretty stinky.
Isn't that Prout's law of election economics?
That is actually Prout's law of election economics. And I'm sorry, but I didn't invent it. I just stated it. So one of the consequences of this is this Christmas, retail will be more fiercely competitive than ever before. In the past, companies were aggressive in December to maximize their profits. This year, they're going to be aggressive in December to survive. You are going to see everything, including the kitchen sink, hurled at your customers to get them to spend their discretionary money with this other store instead of yours. And I'm not just talking the jewelry vertical. I think every vertical, every part of retail is going to be scrambling for dollars because some people will not make it through this. Some of these larger companies definitely will not make it through this. And we're already seeing bankruptcies, expect more. So that being the case, this year, make sure you bring the thermonuclear weapons to the battlefield. If you were ever going to compete aggressively, 2020, November, December is the place to do it. So the strategy we propose is our acquisition and retention direct mail pieces as part of an overall omni-channel marketing barrage. So within customer acquisition, the Gems One Flyer campaign, I made the decision this year to change the look of the flyers. Now we're still going to do the same flyers we've done before. So if you really, really like those better, they're going to be available. There won't be anything different. We've got beautiful backgrounds. We've done all that stuff. But we've made the decision to also shoot them live. And what that means is instead of shooting the jewelry one piece at a time, creating a background and then laying the jewelry in, we're actually creating a background, a real live background, and then gluing each piece of jewelry in place. By shooting it this way, I hope you'll agree, we've produced a considerably more upscale feel, but we're still retaining the value message because the jewelry still is wonderful at each price point. But so here's the new look. This is the front cover of the Christmas 16 page and will also be the front cover of the 8-pager. We don't have the time to go through individual SKUs here, but I am just going to roll through the pages so you can get a sense of the look and the feel of the book. Less product density, just tastier stuff. I think just a much nicer look. You will also notice a considerable shift into yellow. When I was in Seeps, I met with 5 site holders. Everybody wants to sell us what they're making because that means they can sell us their labor and they can sell diamonds. And there was a lot of yellow, a lot of new styles, a lot of new looks, just gorgeous stuff. But I hope you'll agree, each page now has a far more upscale feel, even though we've got the same value-oriented message. New dainty delicacies there. These bold gold type looks are going to be very important. Signet rings, all kinds of new things that we could see coming and that you'll see promoted as we get into the fourth quarter.
You're already seeing them on Pinterest. A lot of these
Oh,
pieces
exactly.
already. If you spend some time online like my wife does on Pinterest, you're seeing a lot of this already.
Yeah. Pinterest and also Instagram. It's all over the place. So yeah, about 55% of the jewelry is carryover, the best-selling pieces from last year. But for sure, I mean, we as I said, I started working on product last July, working on this year's programs. Oh, also, if you choose to do the Great American Program, we will do a version where each page has the text to apply, or each spread has the text to apply for financing option. Also, call outs to visit www.shopyourstore.com for home delivery. That's the Go Express program. And the interactive digital version will also be directly linked to Go Express if you're using Go Express, so that the consumer who goes onto it can click on a specific item, it goes straight to the product page and they can buy it and we'll ship it directly to them. The in-home date this year, you know, in years past, I have typically picked the Tuesday on or about December the 11th. This year, because of the way Christmas Day is falling, I'm actually picking the Thursday, Friday, December 10, 11 as the best in-home day. Now, for customer retention, we have the digest in multiple sizes, the 8, the 16, and the 32. This will give you a sense, again, of the look if you want it to correspond with the new live shots. On the page 2-3 spread, we propose that you kind of turn that into a Christmas card for the samples. And by the way, I think we're shipping 850 packages over the next 3 days to you guys. You're all going to be receiving a live copy of the flyer as well as a live copy of the digest. So turning page 2 into a Christmas theme, turning page 3 into a Christmas card. Again, you know, we'll have over 120 different vendor pages as well, so we can represent the items that you carry in your store that don't come from us but are still an important part of what you do. And we've got lots of beautiful pages of the core in-stock products. And I hope you'll agree. I can tell you, in fact, I presented this to Josh at Alberts. Alberts is a mid-8 figures store on the outside of Chicago, you know, but before the pandemic, they had 120 employees, a 20,000 square foot store. And normally my appointment with Josh to go through things is about 30 minutes. This appointment was 90 minutes. When I showed him the first page of the flyer, he stopped me and applauded. I hope you feel the same way. Now, as I said, we're still going to be doing them the old-fashioned way. If you prefer that look, that's great. But if you like this very tailored, slightly more upscale look, this is now available. We've also added a text to win feature. You know, in many of the digests, we will put win a $5,000 shopping spree, bring this in to have it scanned. You may also get $25, $50, $75, or $100 off your purchase of $299 or more. In this case, we've also chosen a text to win option so that your customer doesn't even have to come into the store to find out what they've won. You know, we don't know how weird the pandemic may be as we get into December. So having this as an option, we thought was a way of having a scan card that if people are spooked, they can still participate in a program like that without having to be exposed. I mean, let's hope these bad things don't happen. But I think the best move is to, you know, plan for the worst, but also try to take advantage of the best and hope that things break the way we want them to.
Yeah.
So after this, a few bits and pieces. Number one, we will be doing Black Friday, but we've changed the look. It will still be all about the widgets. We know that when we do free gifts with purchase, it makes things soar. In fact, Bob, if you can just tell folks, I mean, your Black Fridays have gone from how much to how much as a result of this approach?
Yeah, I mean, we started doing Black Friday about 11, 12 years ago. Now, I want to say it was 08, I want to say, is when we just started with Black Friday. And for us, it was always a $5,000, like a regular old weekend, you know, because I was also of the belief, I remember the first time you brought it to me, I'm like, George, we're not a big box store. I got a mall across the street. People are going to go to Macy's, they're going to go to Walmart, Target, like they're not shopping with us. And you said, look, try it. You know, the fish are out there biting. This is the time to try to compete. And as we started doing the flyers and incorporating digital, it has been for the last 10 years in a row now, a $50,000 to $75,000 weekend for us consistently with multiple engagement ring sales. And it's because of these, I've given away more TVs and iPads and PlayStation 4s. It's unbelievable. And I will tell you that the best thing that I like about this, because it's a gift with purchase, your discount is a maximum 20%. So if they spend, you know, the $2,500, you're giving away a minimum, they're spending a, you know, they're giving away a $500 TV. But our average ticket on those higher end prices is more like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 because they're buying engagement rings. So if you got a, you know, a $10,000 ring and with a $500 TV, you've now got a 5% discount, which, I mean, in the Black Friday world, if we did this flyer and said, you know, 5 to 20% off, nobody's coming in. Nobody's coming in for that. But this is a gift with purchase. It's a value add. It shifts the dynamic. It's incredibly effective. And I would encourage any store that thinks Black Friday doesn't work for them or that their customers don't respond to Black Friday, you're crazy. 100%, the people are out there shopping and spending money, and you need to get active to get a bite of it.
Yeah, I mean, I first developed this idea because jewelers kept saying to me, George, Black Friday is an electronics holiday. You know, it's, as you said, Bob, it's a big box store thing and it's all about electronics. Well, okay, if it's all about electronics, then let's identify what will be the hottest electronic items and let's give those away. Yeah, and right by God, the approach worked. And, you know, so anyway, we're doing this and this will be the look. And as usual, I'll pick the items in mid-September using Best Buy's algorithms. We've been pretty good at picking the right stuff. Secondly, we'll also be doing the 12 Days of Christmas again this year, where what we have done is we've built a video for each day. And the video is always of a woman reacting to this wonderful gift she's been given. And we can plug in the various key items from the core programs so that you can use this as an e-blast campaign, as Facebook posts, as Instagram posts, as a way of speaking to your customers and your prospects. We're also doing a digital game. I don't want to take the time to show it to you now, but it's really cool. It's a match game that will allow your customer to get exposed to some of the key items that you're going to be selling this Christmas, particularly key trend items. And it's a great way to achieve customer engagement. And then finally, because of Go Express, we can now have a true Cyber Monday. Imagine a Cyber Monday campaign where we take items that we want to blow out and retail them for less than normal jeweler's cost. Imagine us being able to take a true blowout sale and deliver this to you guys and to your customers so that we can compete effectively with everybody else who's doing Cyber Monday and do it through Go Express.
Yep.
So in summary, while it's true that we face challenges and uncertainty, the initiatives that we've just reviewed, I think, represent a safe passageway through this storm. In past downturns, those who seized the initiative benefited, while those who turtled were left in the dust. It's just a fact. It is a universal law that when things get weird, that's when it's time to be sensibly aggressive. So I think we'll look back on 2020 as the time that local market shares were redistributed in your favor. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to be sending packages if you're either on our customer list or on our prospect list. We're going to be sending packages to you that contain these elements. And also it'll contain a critical needs checklist. So here's a list of the things that Bob and I reviewed with you today. That'll be in your package. We'll also be contacting any of you who chose to come to the webinar. We appreciate you coming, and I think now is a good time for any other questions, anything else that we can review with you.
Yeah, I think, and while we wait and see if there's any questions that any more things that pop up real quick, I just want to say there's 3 reasons why I think you're crazy if you're doing the flyer and you're not doing Go Express. There's 3 main reasons. One reason I think is Cyber Monday, like you mentioned. This is an area where it's difficult to get in there and play on Cyber Monday because it's very labor intensive for a really short window of time. Go Express allows you to compete on Cyber Monday without having to do any setup or pour a lot of money into the program to get it going. The thing number two is when a customer comes into your store with flyer merchandise, if you don't have it in your store, you need to call into the office and hope that it's available and make sure everything works right. If you're doing Go Express, if a customer comes in to purchase an item that's in your store and that, you know, that's in the flyer that you don't have, and you can't talk them into another item, you can go directly to the Go Express site on your own website. You can have the customer transact with you on the piece. It's going to be guaranteed to ship within 24 hours. And there's a free return label if they don't want it, or they can come into your store. So if they get it and they don't like it, they can return it right back within 30 days at no obligation. So that if you're in a situation where your store doesn't have the room to stock everything in the flyer, or you frankly just sold out of something and became more popular than you thought it was going to be, you can use Go Express to transact on your website and supplement the things you have in your store. And the third thing is that if we're sending out all of these flyers, and our state, God forbid, happens to get shut down or there's some kind of interruption, or even if people are unsure, you want to have the ability for people to transact directly from their house on that flyer. So people see the flyer goods, for whatever reason they're unable to come into your physical store, they can still purchase off the flyer by using Go Express. I mean, those three things at $200 a month with no setup and no contract is a complete no-brainer. I think it's impossible to not get ROI with those three things on Go Express.
Yeah, I noticed that Robert has asked the question, will the flyer have a 2.5 markup like Go Express? If you choose to use the was-is pricing version, that's exactly how it'll be priced. The flyer will have the 2.5 markup, just like Go Express does. Then the sale price is the 20% off in the flyer. Similarly, on the Go Express website, if you go to look at that piece, it'll have the 2.5 markup. The 20% off coupon will bring that down to Keystone as well.
Yep.
So yeah,
and Gene asked about Black Friday, how more and more things are shifting towards Thursday. It's becoming more of a week concept. You know, like a whole Black Friday kind of week. I think that for us, we're a little different in the sense that we're a little bit more of a destination, but we also have a Black Friday week setup version on the flyer, right? Like there's different versions of the flyer for that.
For most of our customers now, we're actually starting Black Friday. The advertising starts the Thursday night, a week before Thanksgiving. So it's becoming a week-long holiday, because the problem is all the big box stores are leapfrogging each other backwards. So yeah, I mean, I would, for most of our customers, we unleash the digital portion that Thursday night, a week before Thanksgiving, and start the sale Friday morning, a week before Black Friday. So
I'll tell you a sneaky thing that we always do, because we always announce our Black Friday flyer 1 week before Black Friday, and that's when we do our first look. So for the whole month of November, in our advertising and our social media, we are driving people to a page where we're getting their email if they want first look access at the flyer. So we always take the month of November to try to get as many people in our warm list of new contacts and people that we already exist that are excited about the flyer and do it every year and want to get that first look. It's a great way of getting out in front and also getting a nice list of people that are super engaged and want to participate in the flyer program. We've been doing that for years, and it produces great success for us.
Okay, so any other questions? Is there anything else that we can answer, guys?
Nope, I mean, there's nothing in the chat at this time, and we're
all right
below for 11, so I think it's about time to roll.
Hey, thank you very much for attending. You know, I am always available to answer any questions. If you also write to solutions@gemsone.com, that'll come to both me and Vinny. Bob is available for any questions regarding Go Express. And, you know, we appreciate you. We love the fact that you would give us an hour of your time to see these things. We hope you liked what you saw, and best wishes for a successful day and a great fall season. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.